Tony Giacalone, 1919 to 2001, was a notorious figure in Detroit's organized crime scene, specifically known for his role as a high-ranking member of the Detroit Mafia, also called the Detroit Partnership. Over the years, he was involved in extortion, loan sharking, gambling operations, and was infamous for his ties to several high-profile crimes, including the mysterious disappearance of labor leader Jimmy Hoffa. Early life and rise in organized crime. Giacalone was born in Detroit, Michigan, in 1919 to Italian immigrant parents. Detroit, historically, has been a city with a strong mafia presence, and Giacalone's family was connected to organized crime. He joined the Detroit Partnership, an organized crime group, at a young age, and quickly rose through the ranks thanks to his intelligence and ruthlessness. By the 1950s, Giacalone became a top lieutenant for the Detroit Mafia, working closely with high-ranking mob bosses. He gained control over various illegal activities in Detroit, particularly in gambling and extortion. Involvement in criminal operations. Throughout his criminal career, Tony Giacalone's operations extended beyond Detroit, impacting several American cities. He was deeply involved in racketeering operations across Chicago, Las Vegas, Cleveland, and New York City. As an enforcer and strategist, he was known for his ability to keep control over the Detroit Partnership's wide-ranging interests. Detroit was a particularly important hub for Giacalone due to its large automobile industry and union connections. The Mafia had a significant presence in the labor movement, and Giacalone helped solidify those connections, especially with the Teamsters Union. Connection to Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance. Tony Giacalone is perhaps best known for his alleged involvement in the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, the former president of the Teamsters Union, in 1975. Hoffa had a history with the Mafia, particularly involving their control over the Teamsters pension fund. Giacalone was reportedly scheduled to meet with Hoffa on the day he disappeared, July 30, 1975, in suburban Detroit. Though Giacalone was a prime suspect in Hoffa's disappearance, he consistently denied any involvement. Hoffa's body was never found, and the case remains one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in U.S. history. Many theories suggest that Giacalone, along with other Mafia figures like Anthony Provenzano, played a direct role in orchestrating Hoffa's murder, possibly to prevent Hoffa from regaining control of the Teamsters and disrupting the Mafia's lucrative influence over the Union. Murder and violence. Tony Giacalone was implicated in multiple murders over the years, although he was never formally charged with homicide. His involvement in organized crime made him a key player in several violent incidents, particularly involving rivals of the Detroit Mafia or those who threatened their business operations. Giacalone's reputation for violence was well known, and it is believed he either directly participated in or ordered numerous killings, though many of these remain unsolved or unconfirmed due to the Mafia's secrecy. Giacalone was known as a skilled negotiator and mediator, often resolving disputes within organized crime syndicates. However, when negotiations failed, he had no hesitation in resorting to murder. Legal troubles and convictions. Despite his notorious reputation, Giacalone avoided major criminal convictions for most of his life. He was repeatedly investigated by federal authorities but often escaped prosecution. However, in the 1970s and 1980s, Giacalone faced several indictments for tax evasion and racketeering. In 1976, he was convicted of income tax evasion and served several years in prison. Throughout the 1980s, Giacalone continued to face legal scrutiny, particularly due to his connection to organized crime and labor racketeering. Nevertheless, he managed to maintain his influence in Detroit's Mafia even while under constant legal pressure. Later years and death. By the 1990s, Tony Giacalone's health began to decline, and he gradually faded from the public eye, although he remained a significant figure within the Detroit Mafia. His power and influence waned due to the increasing pressure from law enforcement and internal changes within organized crime in Detroit. Giacalone died of natural causes in 2001 at the age of 82, still considered one of the most feared and influential figures in the history of Detroit's organized crime. His legacy remains tied to his role in the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa and his involvement in Detroit's Mafia activities. Documentary conversations and depictions. Several documentaries and crime shows have covered Tony Giacalone's life, focusing primarily on his role in Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance and his connection to organized crime in Detroit. Documentaries such as The Irishman, which was adapted from the book I Heard You Paint Houses by Charles Brandt, explore the mystery surrounding Hoffa's disappearance and the involvement of Mafia figures like Giacalone. Giacalone's portrayal in these documentaries often emphasizes his role as a mediator and enforcer for the Detroit Mafia. Conversations in these films and documentaries depict him as a calculating figure, always working behind the scenes to maintain control over the Mafia's business operations. Conclusion. Tony Giacalone lived a life steeped in crime, operating in multiple cities across the United States but always maintaining his base of power in Detroit. From his early years as a Mafia enforcer to his involvement in some of the most infamous criminal cases in U.S. history, including the unsolved mystery of Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance, Giacalone remains a central figure in the story of organized crime in America. His legacy, marked by violence, secrecy, and intrigue, continues to captivate the public imagination through documentaries and crime investigations. Thanks for tuning into Sika True Crime Docs. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating tales. Your support helps us keep bringing these stories to life. See you in the next episode.